Hello, this is the Aussie Arrowhand. What you are listening to is part of a research stream series about Buddhism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate over to the Wikipedia page Glossary of Buddhism. And the challenge I have set myself is to work through every word here A to Z and see what I can learn. So the next word I am working with today is this one. Is it Akuśalakarmapatha? Okay, so I don't know how to pronounce that. Let's break it down. So we've got Akuśalakarmapatha. Okay, I'm going to look up a pronunciation of that, but the summary it has here is unwholesome courses of action. Unwholesome courses of action. So I'm going to search a pronunciation. Pronunciation breakdown. So it says here it's a Sanskrit compound word used in Buddhism to refer to the 10 unwholesome courses of action. So we've got 10 here, which is a little bit of an expansion on that original definition. And that links to the Encyclopedia of Buddhism. I will open that page. So, Akusha. Yep, so I think that diacritic there is always sha in Sanskrit. Sha. So Akusha Lakama. So Lakama Pa Funda. So ta in funda. Pata. So Akuśalakarmapatha. Akuśalakarmapatha. So I might copy this and put it over here. Where is this getting its information? It's all on the Encyclopedia of Buddhism. There is a second one there. Australia, WordPress. Okay, is there a... No, there doesn't seem to be an actual pronunciation website. So I'll take this one with a grain of salt because it's the AI. It often gets things wrong, and it's only referencing the Encyclopedia of Buddhism here. But perhaps it knows more about Sanskrit than there are references on Google for it to refer to. So, alright, so let's go Akuśalakarmapatha. Okay, that actually doesn't sound too bad to pronounce. Akuśalakarmapatha. Unwholesome courses of action. And our first stop, because there is no Wikipedia page here. Well, there might be, but it's not linked. But I'm going to Google it. Okay. So there's an AI overview. There's an Encyclopedia of Buddhism link. There's another Encyclopedia of Buddhism link that just says Akusala. There's a link to the Wisdom Library. And also it's referenced here on this website, the Sadra Commons. So it looks like it's a word that is used, but it's not. It doesn't have too many dedicated websites about it. So let's have a look at this Encyclopedia of Buddhism article to begin with. Akuśalakarmapatha, literally unwholesome courses of action, refers to the 10 unwholesome actions, karmapatha, karma, which lead to unfavourable rebirth. Okay, so it's to do with karma and rebirth, according to this. There's a link there. Buswell and Lopez. Does that tell me anything? Buswell and Lopez. Oh, okay. The Princeton Dictionary of Buddhism. So that's good that it's got a reference here. I don't have a copy of that. I might be able to find one I can use. But it is it is refreshing when things get referenced at all on some of these wikis. So, alright. Also referred to as Dasa Akuśalani. Okay, Dasa Akuśalani. So, I'll put that there. Perhaps that will help us with research later on if we run out of pages for this word. Khenpo Goang Pelzang states, there is no end or limit to negative actions, but in terms of how they are accumulated, they can all be condensed into 3 that are physical acts, 4 that are verbal acts, and 3 mental acts, making 10 in all. And I note that this is in a bracket here. So it says 3 that are physical acts, 4 that are verbal acts, and 3 mental acts. I don't know why there's a bracket there. Is that a subcategory of this somehow? But it only says 3. It doesn't say 7. So let's have a look. 3, 4, 3, making 10 in all. Or perhaps that is just... That might be an insert. Okay. That would make sense. So, now let's have a look at this Khenpo Goang Pelzang, A Guide to the Words of My Perfect Teacher. What is that book? I want to have a look. I think I looked at this earlier on a previous stream. Well, that might have been a different book. So we've got Words of My Perfect Teacher and A Guide to the Words of My Perfect Teacher. Okay. Patrul Rinpoche's Words of My Perfect Teacher. It's a reliable source book to spiritual practices common to all major schools of Tibetan Buddhism. By offering chapter by chapter commentary on this renowned work, Khenpo Pelzang provides a fresh perspective on the role of the teacher, the stages of the path, the view of the three jewels, Madhyamika, the basis of transcendent wisdom, and much more. Okay, so that's a study guide. That's a study guide of a book, The Words of My Perfect Teacher. So, okay, so right away, I'm thinking this is probably to do with Tibetan Buddhism. So I'm just going to write up the top here, Tibetan Buddhism. These notes aren't particularly well organised. I'll come back and sort it out later. For now, I'll just put the heading at the top. There's a phonetic pronunciation, Akuśalakarmapatha. And I think it's to do with Tibetan Buddhism. They're talking about unwholesome courses of action, and there seem to be 10. What is it? 3 that are physical acts, 4 that are verbal acts, and 3 mental acts. So let's take that one. I'm going to take out those brackets because I don't see what they're doing here exactly. The 10 unwholesome actions are, and we've got a list of 3, a list of 4, and a list of 3. The 10 unwholesome actions are 3 actions of the body: killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. And we've got 4 actions of speech: lying, slander or malicious speech, offensive or harsh speech, frivolous prattle. I like that one. 3 actions under the category of mind: covetousness, ill will, wrong views. So in Buddhism, they have a lot of lists, and here is another one. The 10 unwholesome actions. And if you note, this is a kind of combination of things that you'll find in other Buddhist lists. Let's see if I can identify them. One is, has it got the 3 poisons here? Not exactly. Has it got the 5 precepts? Yes. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, that's all part of the 5 precepts. Let's have a look here. What are the 5 precepts of Buddhism? We'll look at this image here. So make it a little bit more visual. Okay, so I observe refraining from killing any living beings. I observe refraining from taking what the owner does. What does the owner not give? I observe refraining from committing sexual misconduct. I observe refraining from telling lies. I observe refraining from taking any intoxicant or drug. Were there drugs in this list? No, it's missing that one. Does it have lying? Yes. So the first 4 precepts found on this rock here, sometimes Pancha Sila, is that how you pronounce it? The ethical 5 precepts are found in the first 4 parts of this list: killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying. Slander or malicious speech seems to come into that. So, yeah, notably, where is it? I observe refraining from telling lies. This one expands speech a little bit. It talks about not only telling lies, but also slander, malicious speech, offensive or harsh speech, and frivolous prattle. Frivolous prattle, stuff that's deeply unimportant, probably wasting everybody's time. Let's have a look here. Is there a page for this? Sambhina pralapa. I probably butchered that. Senseless talk, idle chatter, idle gossip, nonsensical speech, vain speech. The 7th of the 10 unwholesome courses of action. Akuśalakarmapatha. Let's try this one again. Sambhina pralapa. Okay. I don't want to get too in the weeds with other things, but 3 actions under the category of mind: covetousness, ill will, wrong views. So, does that come back to stealing? So, that's different from that. So, This one is covetousness. This is a little bit different from stealing. It means probably something closer to selfishness, according to this. The term is a near synonym for greed, lobha, and craving. I do not know how to pronounce that. Oh, I think it's just tenha. Yeah, alright. So, first, it's one of the Four Noble Truths, I believe. Is the eighth of the 10 unwholesome actions. The Princeton Dictionary states, abidya is a more intense form of lobha, where one's inherent greed or lust for objects has evolved into an active pursuit of them in order to make them one's own. Okay, so not only do you feel greed, you are actively pursuing it. Right, is this the Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk sort of way of moving through the world? Well, I'm going to close that one. We've got raga, lobha. Apparently, they're the same according to this. So one of the three poisons. Okay, here we go. I'm talking about Buddhist lists. Here's a bunch. The 3 poisons, the 3 unwholesome roots, the 6 root kleshas, the 6 underlying tendencies, the 14 unwholesome mental factors. Okay, so the Akuśalakarmapatha is another list. And a lot of these lists have things in common. As we can see, ill will is part of the 5 hindrances. We go to this one, open this. The 5 hindrances: ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, doubt, sensory desire. So you can look at these, if you can sort of unknot where these are troubling you, right? If you look at your problem, if you look at what you're going through, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, the nature of your own personal suffering, you can usually identify these in it. So to come back to this list, ill will is one of the 3 unwholesome actions. And then you got wrong views. Wrong views. It's the opposite of right view. So if you notice, we go to the Eightfold Path. Any image should do. Let's have this one here. We've got this nice one with, are they deers? I think they're deers. What a lovely image. So if you look right up the top, it says right view. Right view. Note that we also have wrong view. Wrong view. So right view, just to give a very brief description of it as I understand it, it's seeing things correctly, seeing things as they are. There's an aspect of it which is being free from ideologies. There's an aspect of it which has to do with interbeing and understanding the sort of interconnectedness of all things, right? And it's a funny one, this, because people are going to say this is an ideology. This is a view that you're adhering to. But in one of those sort of great, I guess, would you call them Buddhist paradoxes? This is about freedom from ideology. It's also an indication of understanding. If you understand reality as it is, that is right view. Wrong view is the complete opposite right? It this is the Encyclopedia of Buddhism page. I'll read a little bit of this. I don't know how instructive it is, but I'll just have a look. So, Miffy Dris, I cannot pronounce that. I'm going to look this one up here. Actually, I'll put it in my notes. I'll put a question for the end. How do I pronounce? See, that just does not sound natural to me, based on what I am familiar with the English alphabet. But there is a way of pronouncing that. It's just in Sanskrit, I believe. So it's identified as one of the 5 types of wrong view. So let's have a look at this. We go to this page here. So I think it says Diffie here. That's another pronunciation, Diffie. So this here is just one type of wrong view, according to this list. Okay, so Diffie is translated as wrong view, afflicted views, belief, opinionatedness, deluded outlooks, etc. It is defined as seeing wrongly. Its characteristic is an unwise interpretation of things. Both the Sanskrit and Pali traditions identify multiple types of wrong view, such as the view of a personal identity. Okay, so that would be, is that anatta? The Sanskrit tradition identifies a specific set of 5 wrong views. So it's identified in the following context. One of the 14 unwholesome mental factors within the Pali tradition, one of the 6 root kleshas, one of the 6 or 7 main underlying tendencies of the Sanskrit and Pali traditions. So it is interesting here that in this list, as it's represented, so we've got 2 books here. I think it's talking about we've got 2 references here to this list. What is this page? The Tibetan English Dictionary. Okay, so alright, so here is a page on this. I might have a look through this soon. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. But it is interesting to me that it would put wrong view or wrong views under this subcategory, just because it is part of the Eightfold Path. Like the wrong view belongs there. And it's not only does it belong there, it's right up the top. And that leads me to another question. I'm thinking, are there schools of Buddhism that do not recognize the Eightfold Path? Perhaps they're just using these lists. So that is my next question. Are there schools of Buddhism which do not recognize the Eightfold Path? Okay. So, yeah, so I see a couple of things here. So one was that this is 4 of the 5 precepts, but the 4th, which is lying, is expanded somewhat. Then we've got covetousness, which is not one I've seen a lot in these lists, at least the ones I'm familiar with. Then you've got ill will from the 5 hindrances, and you got wrong view, or wrong views. But notably it links to, so would I say Mitty Diffie? That's a guess. So that's part of that. Alright. So what have I got open here? I've got a page here from the Tibetan English Dictionary. And what is this? Dasaku Salani. So I don't know what that transliteration is. I'm assuming that is Akuśalakarmapatha. Is that Sanskrit? Or yeah, I don't know. I would really benefit from a course in Sanskrit, I think. But let's move on. We've got this here. 10 non-virtuous actions, 10 unwholesome deeds. Yeah, they're all there. They're all there. And idle gossip. So how was that represented here? Frivolous prattle, idle gossip. It's no good for us. Okay, so have a look here. Gang, Wetzel, Ranjang. What are they? I don't know what they are. Okay. So 10 unvirtuous actions, 10 non-virtues. The physical misdeeds are killing, taking what is not given, and engaging in sexual misconduct. Okay, so they make the distinction between the physical deeds. There were 3 of those. 4 verbal misdeeds: lying, divisive talk, harsh words, and gossiping. And then mental misdeeds. So the mental misdeeds are harbouring covetousness, ill will, and wrong views. So I'm thinking these are probably translators, these names. So if I Google that, what comes up? Yep, he's a guy. He's a translator. So stand to reason. I don't know what gang Wetzel is. Peter Gang, Sylvia Wetzel, who are associated with the Buddhist Academy, Berlin, Brandenburg. Okay, so yeah, good. I picked up that was German, which is, yeah, I don't know how I did that, but I think it's that that w sound. I know it from Werner Herzog. So Wetzel. Okay. Oh, that's okay. All right. I'm going to close some tabs here. We've got a lot open. So do close that one. Close that one. Okay, I might leave that one open because I want to come back to that book at some point. All right, so I'm going to come here. And I've only got a couple of sources here, note. I'm sure if there's more on this topic, it's probably to be found in books. There are some limitations to just doing online research. There's also a whole world of sort of academic articles out there. I don't have any logins for research databases, but that's okay. So we've got that link there. Then we've got the Encyclopedia of Buddhism link for Akuśalakarmapatha. So that came from there. Very good. So I'll just put a gap between these. And yeah, it was Tibetan Buddhism, I believe. So okay. Alright. So back to this one. I've got that open twice. Close. So we'll come back to the Wikipedia page. We've got Akuśalakarmapatha, unwholesome courses of action. So that's the definition that we've drawn out here. I'm just going to have a quick look through some other web pages, see what I can find. Okay, so the AI is compiling the same list. And it seems to have a few more here. So we've got 3 references. They're all the Encyclopedia of Buddhism. various articles. Now let's have a look at Akushala. I want to know what that is. Akushala means unwholesome, non-virtuous, unvirtuous, unsalutary, unskillful, etc. This term refers to the actions of body and speech and mind that result in increased suffering and unfavourable rebirths. It is the opposite of Kushala. Okay, so we've come back to this idea of wholesome and unwholesome states. So if we go back to our Eightfold Path and our lovely dears, let's have a look at some of the other entries here. We got right samadhi, right mindfulness, right effort, right livelihood, right action, right speech, and right intention. It is right effort I want to take a look at here. So if we type in right effort, Buddhism, I might have a look at the Lion's Roar page here, but I'll just see if there's a wiki article that, where is it? No. Okay, let's look at Lion's Roar. Right effort. So this is an article. I'm not going to read all of that article. Yep. So if we look at the AI overview here, and what is it referencing? We've got Reddit, Doug's Dharma on YouTube, Hindu website. Okay, there's a bunch there. But right effort is it's the spoke of the Eightfold Path wheel, which is to do with cultivating wholesome states and abandoning unwholesome ones. Now, I swear there is a Wikipedia page. I just want to have a look at the Noble Eightfold Path here. If we go down here, where is it? A short description of the 8 divisions, the 8 Buddhist practices in the Noble Eightfold Path are. And I will skip down the right effort. Preventing the arising of unwholesome states, generating wholesome states, the Bhajanga, 7 factors of awakening. This includes Indriya Samvara, guarding the sense doors, restraint of the sense faculties. So this is closely associated with the 4 right exertions. I think this was the page I was thinking of, because it has this table here. The 4 right exertions are an integral part of the Buddhist path to enlightenment, built on the insightful recognition and the arising and non-arising of various mental qualities over time, and of our ability to mindfully intervene in these ephemeral qualities. The 4 right exertions encourage the relinquishment of harmful mental qualities and the nurturing of beneficial mental qualities. So note the language, relinquishment of harmful mental qualities, the nurturing of beneficial mental qualities. So the 4 right exertions are associated with the Noble Eightfold Path's factor of right effort, and the 5 spiritual faculties, faculty of energy, and one of the 7 sets of the Bodhipakkhya Dharma, factors related to Bodhi. Okay, let's look at this table here. Unwholesome states of mind, wholesome states of mind. If unwholesome states of mind are unarisen, we prevent them. If wholesome states of mind are unarisen, we arouse them. If unwholesome states of mind have arisen, we abandon them. Wholesome states of mind have arisen, we maintain them. Okay. I don't know why that needs a table. It's kind of funny. I hope it illustrates something though about what we're doing with the exertions. So we talk it in terms of the exertions. It's like, okay, what do we do when we're in an unwholesome state of mind? We abandon it. We give it up. We don't attach ourselves to it. We want to do what we can to bring a wholesome state of mind into being and then maintain it. It's what we want to do. And that seems obvious, but it's not. And a lot of people, they hang on to these unwholesome states of mind. We attach ourselves to them. They feel familiar. They feel comfortable. And a wholesome state of mind is not necessarily a happy one. I think it would generate the possibility of happiness, a deeper happiness than some unwholesome states of mind might do. But yeah, anyway, I'm getting a little bit in the weeds with this. So that's right effort. And I do need a reminder of this sometimes. And I'll close that one. I might leave that article open. I would like to read it later. So, Guide to My Perfect... What is it? Akuśala... What was the name of that one? A Guide to the Words of My Perfect Teacher by Kenpo Gwang Pelzang. Alright, so... Yeah, alright. I think that is probably sufficient for my understanding here today. It's a good refresher of the lists. It's another list that Buddhists can use to try and understand suffering. So I will go back to my notes for a moment. I've written, it's a bit of a mess here, but so Akuśalakarmapatha. Okay, so unwholesome courses of action, 3 that are physical acts, 4 that are verbal acts, and 3 mental acts. Then we've got this other definition here. 10 unvirtuous actions, 10 non-virtues. The physical misdeeds are killing, taking what is not given, and engaging in sexual misconduct. The verbal misdeeds are lying, uttering divisive talk, harsh words, and gossiping. The mental misdeeds are harbouring covetousness, ill will, and wrong views. So that's the list there. The 10 unwholesome actions are the 3 actions of the body: killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. 4 actions of speech: lying, slander or malicious speech, offensive or harsh speech, frivolous prattle. 3 actions under the category of mind: covetousness, ill will, and wrong views. So that's Akuśalakarmapatha. Now, there are a couple of questions I had here. How do I pronounce this word? So, Miffy, that there. So, I will Google that. So according to this, it's just drish. Drish T. The R acts like a short re sound. Dree. So, and it's got a diacritic, so that isn't an R as in a R sound. That is a re. Drishti. As in bridge, followed by a sh and a long I. Drishti. Okay. Mitya drishti. So I'm using the phonetic guide of the AI here. Mithya Okay, so drishti. Going to be pronouncing that all day, but we go drishti. So, what does it mean? I want to know what it means. Let's have a look. Okay, so drishti is a Sanskrit term primarily meaning sight, view, vision, or gaze. It refers to both the physical act of seeing and the mental capacity for perception, insight, and opinion. It is widely used in yoga as a focused gaze to deepen concentration, and in Buddhist philosophy to denote often a specific viewpoint or in some contexts wrong view, which is where we found it. Drishti. Okay, so let's look this up again. Drishti, wrong view. There's this. So it's, I think in Pali it's Diffi, Sanskrit it's drishti. View or position is a central idea in Buddhism. In Buddhist thought, a view is not a simple abstract collection of propositions, but a charged interpretation of experience which intensely shapes and affects thought, sensation, and action. Drishti. What was my next question? Are there schools of Buddhism which do not recognize the Eightfold Path? Do not recognize the Eightfold Path. While all recognize traditional schools of Buddhism, Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana accept the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path as foundational teachings of the Buddha, some traditions do not emphasize or center their practice around the Eightfold Path. Instead, these schools use alternative frameworks, such as the Bodhisattva path, which are considered more suitable for their specific goals. Okay, so let's look at the references. We got Reddit, World History Encyclopedia, Quora, Wikipedia. It's not 100% in terms of reliability there. But let's move on. Let's scroll down. So I want to read this here. What is it? The Mahayana tradition. The Mahayana tradition accepts the validity of all the Theravada teachings, such as the Eightfold Noble Path, but considers that those teachings were taught to a certain group of disciples at a certain place and time. At other times, the Buddha taught the Mahayana path with its own particular aspects and emphasis, which are the ones they take of being of primary importance. So, that would explain a lot of these Buddhist lists. And I'm wondering, I do believe I came across a website that compiles them all. So we've got Dharma lists, list of Buddhist lists, the complete book of the Buddhist lists. Let's just have a look through these, see what we got. So there's a bunch there. There's a bunch there. Oh, there's a book of the Buddhist lists. Okay, this looks like... Alright, let's have a look here. So, where we go? 9 ways, 4 noble truths, 8-fold middle path, 12 parts of dependent origination. Okay, so there's 20 lists written here. The 84,000 Dharma doors. I don't know what that's referring to. This one looks pretty good. So, I'm not sure any of these are exhaustive, but let's have a look. List of Buddhist lists. This is a very old looking website. One of the first things a newcomer to Buddhism is struck by is all the lists. The 4 of this, the 5 of that, 12 of these, and the 37 exclamation mark of those. Okay, this information can be a bit overwhelming, especially since there are hundreds of these lists. The following is my attempt to come up with a basic list of lists. If you can get your mind wrapped around just these lists, you will have the essentials necessary to understand the Buddha's teachings. One list of one, mindfulness. How is that a list? What does that link to? I want to know. It links to the 4 lists of 4. I don't know why he's got one list of 1. Okay, I'd be interested to know what the rationale for putting that there is. 2 lists of 2. Things to be developed, wisdom and compassion. 2 types of truth, conventional and ultimate wisdom. Okay. 3 lists of 3. 3 refuges. The triple gem. Buddha, Dharma, the Sangha. Characteristics of all phenomenon. Anicca, Dukkha and Anatta. Divisions of the teachings. Sila, Samadhi, Panna. Then, I'm not going to read all of these, but I'll just go through the list. 4 noble truths. 4 foundations of mindfulness. 4 right efforts. 4 highest emotions. 5 lists of 5. 5 precepts. 5 hindrances. 5 khandhas. 5 dharmas of which to be mindful. 5 faculties, same as 5 strengths. 6 senses, 7 factors of awakening. 8-fold path, the 8 worldly conditions. The 10 perfections. So, yeah, there's one list of 10. We found another. The Akuśalakarmapatha is a list of 10. One list of 12. So the 12 links of dependent origination, the 37 factors of awakening, and it has some sub-lists. So I'm sure there's some really big ones out there. So 37 is where these lists end. But as we see here, we've got 84,000 Dharma doors, the 10,000 world systems. There's some big numbers here. But yeah, I would like to compile a list out of all these lists. That would be fun, I think. But yeah, okay, we got all these lists, and from what we've established here with the Akuśalakarmapatha, if we look in here and we go back to this, and I'm trying to answer a question here. Are there schools of Buddhism which do not recognize the Eightfold Path? So the answer is, I think you could say yes, but it is more about de-emphasizing it. And some schools have alternative frameworks to assist with their goals. And I think that really is key. So where this is positioned, I think, seems to be within Tibetan Buddhism. 10 unwholesome actions. They've identified these 10 lists. And it has to do with not only particular goals, but also a context, a time and a place. So the lists chosen have to do with particular goals, a context, a time and a place. And without more information, I can't really say much about the time and the place that this sort of grew out of. We could say that part of it would be cultural. It would have to do with the countries that are associated with these lists and the sort of political and social, cultural contexts that shape how people think about Buddhism. So and particular goals. Different schools have different a different emphasis. Just for example, some schools might prioritize wisdom above all else, and so would be more about scholarly practices. Others might center love as a social action, as a social and transformative action. You'd find this more in the Mahayana traditions. I wouldn't say those two are strictly the difference between Theravada and Mahayana, but you can see that, yeah, there's different things Buddhists are trying to achieve. And if we think just even Zen philosophy, it's more about discarding everything other than the sort of most immediate experience. I don't know if I've captured the essence of Zen in saying that, but yeah, these are things to think about. And I reckon we can leave it on that note. So thank you for listening.